Well, Paul, I've done quite some interviews, but they are mostly with pop musicians. Can you explain me how an opera record is made?
Well, there's not a lot of differences except there's more musicians involved. Obviously, you have an orchestra involved, so you have 70 to 80 people involved in the recording procedure as well, which makes, I think it makes, I've never engineered a record in my life, but I'm sure it makes life interesting for the producers.
Because what's your part in making a record? Do you start by writing vocals or with melodies, or is it just the producer that designs it?
Well, I worked with Simon Franklin, who produced Cinema Paradiso. I worked with him on deciding the way the vocal line would work. I had a written line, but we had flexibility about how to actually sing it. And so the interpretations are all mine, and we had a lot of flexibility with that.
Yeah, because Cinema Paradiso is, I've read that it's about movies that you liked.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you want to do that kind of an album?
Well, it was from a film that I first found classical music. It was when I was about 9 or 10 when I watched E.T. That the soundtrack to E.T. was what first made me want to listen to classical music. I remember buying a very cheap copy of a London Symphony Orchestra soundtrack album of the music from E.T., Star Wars and Close Encounters. And it was from listening to those John Williams soundtracks that I then moved on to Tchaikovsky, Dvorak, Chopin and Mozart, and that was the start of the classical music journey for me. And after that I then discovered Jose Carreras, who introduced me to the world of opera. So it was, the film was actually very important in that journey.
What kind of films can we hear back in this new album?
Well, there's music from films like The Godfather, Breakfast at Tiffany's. So you've got Moon River, Parla più piano, also The Gladiator, Il Gladiatore, and West Side Story. I've recorded Maria, and many other iconic tunes like Dr. Zhivago.
And are all that films, are they also a representation of your own journey into opera, do you think?
Some of them I only, I'll be honest, and some of them I only watched in preparation for this album. I'd not watched Breakfast at Tiffany's, and it's a lovely film. It's very easygoing, and the main star, Joe Golightly, played by Audrey Hepburn, is a very appropriate name for the character, because she does go lightly about everything. You know, nothing's complicated about that movie, but it's a very feel-good movie. And I've watched Gladiator because it's one of my wife's favourite films, so I've had to watch it too, and it's a good movie. And Godfather is, you know, one of the most iconic movies in the history of cinema, so it's a really important movie. And I made the decision to record that song in Italian because in the film, when you first hear that part of the Nina Rota soundtrack, there's nobody in the shot. It's just the scenery of Italy. So for me, the song and the music are as much about Italy as they are about the love story of Michael Corleone.
Yeah, opera takes place in Italy often, but do you speak Italian yourself, or?
Parlo abbastanza bene, ma devo studiare molto di più perché è un po' troppo pigro.
Yeah, not better than
And basically that means that I speak reasonably well, but I need to study more because I've been a bit lazy.
Is it important, for example, if you do Italian opera pieces, to understand the language fully?
I think it certainly helps you know the meaning of the words. The difficulty for English people is the way we sound our T's. They tend to be on the soft palate rather than the dental T, and so therefore they tend to be a bit harder. So it's often easy to tell an English person singing Italian because our T's tend to be very heavy. So that's the most difficult thing for me singing in Italian, is that it's my T's that give me away.